Hi, I'm Craig Hippern, President and CFO of Mantella Corporation. The tariffs from the United States certainly have created a disruption, and it's a disruption around the world, particularly here in Canada with respect to new development. It's impacting material costs. And I think you would see there would be a difference between asset classes, but the difference would be with respect to the amount of tariffed materials that are in products. And so we're seeing materials increasing in price 2, 3, 4, maybe up to 5%. But on the flip side, we're seeing labor costs coming down. So net across asset classes, there's been very little change in price and costs due to the tariffs. Strategy-wise, developers are dealing with some of the material costs differently. So some are including budget contingencies, others are adding reserves for materials that they think may cost more. And to mitigate the increases in costs, they're looking at material substitution, so finding materials that may not be subject to tariffs and using those in place of what they would have originally spec'd. They could source the materials from other countries, not from the United States, and that's also a possibility, and finding new trade partners. And finally, we're also hearing companies that are stockpiling. And so they're stockpiling materials that would otherwise be tariffed, and they're stockpiling those prior to tariffs coming on the product or the tariffs increasing. Well, the slowdown has been real, and I think developers are really feeling it. And so if you start with the top line, the revenue. And so developers are finding ways of creating incentives to make deals happen. They're being creative. And so revenue incentives are one way that they're attempting to counteract some of the slowdown in volume. Equipment purchase ideas and coming up with new ways of procuring equipment and increasing activity, creative financing. And I think that's one we're seeing banks becoming a little more creative, private equity lenders becoming more creative in finding ways of not making a pro forma work, but using inputs that would make the pencil or make the numbers a little better. Finally, we're hearing a lot of AI, and AI is a common topic now that we're hearing quite a bit in the industry. And one use of AI is in prefab. So prefab construction, or even taking engineering drawings and having AI read those drawings, come up with material specs, doing tendering, those sorts of things. So the slowdown has actually created an opportunity for the industry to think outside the box, look for disruptors, and at the end of the day, I think we will be a much better off industry because of it. It's an interesting time for labor because we do know that the baby boomers are aging. They're aging out of the population. They have a lot of skills that maybe are not taught the same way they used to, and they've taken them through their career. And so with the downturn in the real estate industry, I think some of the impact of the baby boomers maturing and aging and retiring out of the market is being masked. With a slowdown, there's less demand for the skilled labor. But what will happen is, as the real estate market recovers, then the demand will rise and we'll realize that there's a big shortage. So we're hearing throughout the conference that people are focusing on education programs and making it more attractive for people to enter some of these trades, maybe tweaking some immigration policies so that we're attracting the skills and that skilled labor to come to Canada, so that we're poised and we are ready, so that when the market does recover, the people are here, there's jobs, and they can certainly service all of the developers and all their new projects.